Hello everyone once again and welcome back to Packs and Recreation, and today we are continuing the time saga with the Doctor Who decks. So I am super late to the freaking party and there are two good reasons for that, and reason number one is that I was unlucky, and reason number two is that whenever you see a video like this, normally you see me opening the decks, and this is not it's not a recorded voiceover. Otherwise, the synchronization between the voice and the hands will be crazy. But no, it's because I normally have two sets of decks: the one that I'm playing with and the one that I open for the video. And then normally one deck stays as is, and the other gets disassembled for pieces, or I just give them to friends or whatever, so that I can share the pain of Magic the Gathering with other people, right? Because what good is to be a drug addict if you don't share? So, plus there's like a third reason to this. And the reason is that I started watching Doctor Who. So, shout out to Decimalloween 926, if I recall correctly. 9206, yeah. Decimalloween 9206 for giving me the intro guide. And I started watching Doctor Who, so I am one of us now. So let's go. By the way, disclaimer: I have only seen the first season of the 2005 one, so the 9th Doctor, and I am at the beginning of the 10th Doctor, right? So yeah. Now there are advantages and disadvantages to this, and let's open this as we go. And you will see. Let's start with the bad guys, I guess. Or you know what? Let's start by chronological order, even though the bad guys are mixed with old stuff, if I understood correctly. The good side and the bad side. The good side is that now I recognize some stuff. The bad side is that I think I'm spoiling myself. And not in the good pamper way, but in the sense that, yeah, I think I'm spoiling the series. So, the things I do for love. Okay, so first deck, Commander deck, Blast from the Past, blue, green, white. The 4th Doctor is the Commander, and this is all from the first Doctor Who series, the one that has some episodes lost forever. And this is the most nostalgic one. In terms of if this is the best deck or not, you will find out. And by the format of the box, you can tell that this contains plane chase cards. So that's something new. Something new, I mean, is the same as the... oh wait, this has the thing to open it? Oh. But clearly it has something to open here, but whatever. See, like, there is a... yeah, I don't know. Even the package is a tall order for Wizards sometimes. Okay. So, plane chase is not new in multiple senses, but we had plane chase cards in March of the Machine, and I thought that was a great concept because it matched... by the way, I'm opening this thing backwards again. I thought we solved this issue, but no, we didn't. So you have to open it from the back, which makes the cutout underneath even more confusing, but whatever. I always forget I need to open it. See, a lot easier and less dramas. So, and the plane chase cards are here. Nothing more in the box. What's in the box? Not much. So, plane chase cards in a black envelope, a die, a Doctor Who die, and the tokens, well, some TARDIS tokens, that's nice, and a divider for the 4th Doctor, the 4th Doctor cardboard, the companion, the deck box, and a divider, and some other stuff. So let's see what's in the box. So there is, if you are new to Magic and you just like Doctor Who and you're thinking, what is this? These are counters, but to be honest, you can just throw these away if you want. These are counters. This is nothing. Like, this is just like the bad type of cardboard. We Magic players have two types of cardboard: the good one that we pay a lot of money for, and the bad one that we discard. and discard, get it? And what's the difference? Exactly, there is no difference. It's just that we consider one superior to the other based on if Wizards told us to play with one or not. And this is a mini divider kind of thing. You can just, like, whatever, it's nice, I guess. I normally separate them and use it. Life counter, well, at least it has Doctor Who art, that's nice. You can use this. I never in my life used this. I'm not joking. I'm being as honest as possible. I don't think I ever used this life counter. The die is exclusively because of plane chase cards, and then you have the insert that I am the only person that cares about. Blast from the past, play in the deck. So you have some plane chase cards. I have mixed feelings with plane chase in precons. I will explain in a second. And then you have the Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith as the commander and the co-commander. And why are the Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith white, green, and blue aligned? The Fourth Doctor is blue for his scientific brilliance and wit, and green through his belief in freedom and tendency towards nomadic wandering. Sarah Jane is white-lined because of her bravery, loyalty, and desire for justice. This is great if you are new to Magic, because you get to kind of understand the colors a little bit. And if you're new to Doctor Who, well, I guess you get some context of the characters here. So this is great. This is one of the few times that the insert actually is very helpful for both sides of the equation. After his exile on Earth ended, the Fourth Doctor set out to explore space and time. Oh man, now I want to see the old series as well. God damn it. That's the thing. I guess I'm going to talk more about the series in the... when I open... What the hell? When I open more collector boosters, but... man, the series is certainly a thing. So life counter, let's put it here. The deck box, big quotation marks, is pretty much... I mean, you can use it until you buy something better, I guess. Because yeah, it's just cardboard. Nice looking cardboard nonetheless. And the deck is here. Now, okay, here it is. I was about to say, I'm missing the collector booster. The collector booster is here. So these are the plane chase cards, which we will see in a second. And it's a collector booster sample. So it's only 2 cards, which we can open right away, I guess. And what is it about the collector boosters and the collector booster samples? Every time, if you are new to Magic, which may be the case, collector boosters are just the expensive version of the same thing that we buy normally. In the case of Doctor Who, though, this is kind of good because the entire Doctor Who set of cards is in these decks, like in the 4th deck. So if you have the 4th decks like me, you already have all the cards. You only need to buy the collector boosters if you want special treatments, such as White Art of the 5th Doctor, which is in this deck, or the Wedding Ring, also in White Art, right? So that type of... it's just special treatments for cards. So this is nice, but again, it is what it is, right? So collector cards to the side. Now envelope. Let's see the plane chase cards first. Plane chase is something that, in case you are new to this, and I understand why they did it for Commander, and I believe that Gavin is involved in this set, and he likes plane chase. So that's pretty much the reason why this thing is here, and it makes sense because the Doctor travels to planes, so, or time and space. So it makes sense, but for new players, which I think is the idea to bring new people into Magic by using Universes Beyond, this may be kind of too much to add. Well, you have the Pyramid of Mars, sorry. When you planeswalk to the Pyramid of Mars, the Pyramid of Mars, at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal 2. Whenever chaos ensues, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, called in a parallel universe. These are all great references and kind of spoilers at the same time. Playing Necros, suspended animation. Whenever a creature dies, exiled, its controller scries 1. Goddess of Tranquil Repose. Spectros Minds. One thing that I'm liking from the cards, now that I'm seeing the show, is that, well, the cards are drawings, right? So sky is the limit compared to well, the series. One thing that I have to comment about the series is that I am fairly surprised in the sense that I thought it was going to be worse, and I don't mean this in a mean way or anything. So these are the plane chase cards. Plane chase, you can just not use them. If you use them, it's like a shared deck for everyone. There is a great video from the Prof explaining how to use plane chase cards and how to play plane chase overall. And you have the die here. So with this one, you planeswalk, and with this one, chaos ensues. The problem with commander decks that have plane chase cards is that the cards, so there are some good cards here that are like the best cards in the deck sometimes, and they have like effects that are like plane chase only. So yeah, that's kind of me. So this is the new format of things. So the tokens are not separated. Let's see the tokens first. So this is the fourth Doctor. This is like a plastic card thing that you get. It's just because your commander is important, I guess, and you can have it as a separate thing. I'm just explaining for people that is new to this. Now, in terms of what the fourth Doctor does, we will see in a second. You have food, because apparently that's one of the things with the fourth, but this is just a food token. It doesn't have anything to do with like, it's not a new token or anything. A warrior token, it's a caveman. Treasure token, warrior, clue, human rogue, copy, which is all the bad guys in the stars, soldier, mutant, more soldiers, more mutants, alien insect. This is very nice looking. Alien salamander, mutant, soldier, mutant, and copy. And then a kind of mini guide and publicity, because why not? So, the fourth Doctor. So the fourth Doctor is the main commander for this deck, and he says, you may look at the top card of your library anytime. Would you like once each turn, you may play a historic land or cast a historic spell from the top of your library. When you do, create a food token. Now, this is why the food basically are gummies, which apparently he carries a lot. I haven't seen this version of Doctor Who, but I can imagine it goes that way. And then Sergeant Smith, which is 1 and 1 white, and is a legendary creature, human detective. Whenever you cast a historic spell, investigate. This ability triggers only once each turn. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. To investigate, create a clue, and blah, blah. They explain it because, well, a lot of people are going to start playing Magic since the beginning. Now, you may be confused by looking at this, because normally the co-commander is the same colors as the commander, because otherwise you can't play the entire deck, because your deck has to be the same colors as your commander. So what's up here? And here is one of the cool mechanics of this set, I guess. That is the partner mechanic, but only for Doctors. So, which is okay, because I guess that makes it so they can trade between other Doctors and companions, but they can't trade outside of Doctor Who, which, because otherwise you have like partner and partner with, right? So those mechanics already exist. But she has Doctor's Companion. You can have two commanders if one is the other is the Doctor. So there you go. Green, blue, and white, and this is why you have the three colors. So she's not really a co-commander as much as she is the other commander. Like, it will be foolish to not have both and run the entire deck with these two, right? So, and that's kind of the thing that's kind of the play with this deck. You see that it's like historic. It's kind of a inside joke, because most of the deck visually, and by the way, I forgot to mention this, but in the ironically, in the Universes Beyond, all the cards in the deck are have new drawings, so new paintings or new art, because, well, you're going to have like cards from other sets, even if they are reprints in the middle of Universes Beyond, because it looks very weird. So, say for example, Path to Exile. This is a card that, like, is older than time in Magic. And haha, get it, time. And yet here is the Doctor Who art and text here, and etc. The time has come for you to change your appearance, Doctor, and begin your exile. High Council of the Time Lords. So Return to Dust. A lot of these cards already existed before. This is just like the Doctor Who version of them, like with special art, which is great. I say Arcane Signet, same. So I love these because first you get more value for the same price that you pay, but if you like the IP, which I guess that's kind of the whole point of this, because otherwise either you like Magic or you like Doctor Who. If you like both, it's great, and that applies for other stuff as well. If you like both things, you can see that the references and how they adapt things, how they adapt the context from Doctor Who into the game, and how they change things from Thought Vessel. This is also another Commander staple, but it's like with this art, it's like, oh, see, and like it suddenly makes sense, like Mind Stone, right? Same thing. So this is nice. Then they have the Thriving Islands here, and we have to talk about something in these decks, which is the mana base. The mana base in the Commander decks in the Doctor Who set are better mana bases than in most precons. So the thing with the precons is that most of the, they are precons, right? So Wizards is not going to give you, the best cards ever or the best decks ever. They want you to start playing, to be able to play, to not have they don't have to be, there's this difficult balance between it is a shitty card, it needs to be it can be shitty, but it can be the best deck for multiple reasons, because they want you to buy more cards, right? So if it's the best deck, period, then you're not going to buy cards. And if it's too bad, you're not going to play anymore, or you're not going to buy the product, right? So they need to strike that balance. And normally they strike it by introducing new concepts, playing around with some ideas, and stuff like that. Obviously, in the case of Universes Beyond, the trick here is the IP, right? So if you like Doctor Who, then that's pretty much everything that there is to know here. Like, it is what it is. But if you want to have a balanced deck, the precons normally are good enough. Now, sometimes they create better precons, and even if you don't understand anything about Magic in terms of at least the quality of the cards inside, they put it in order. Yeah, the first Doctor, second Doctor, third Doctor, the fourth is in the front, so the fifth Doctor, the sixth Doctor, the seventh Doctor, and the eighth. Nice. Physician, Hell Thyself. Nice. Then Alien Insect. Interesting. See, again, since it's drawings, it looks better than it looked like in the series back in the day. I mean, I don't want to be mean or anything, but it's like the same as with anime, right? Like, you see Attack on Titan in person, it's just cringy and like it doesn't look right and things look fake. However, you do it in anime, it just makes sense because everything is a drawing. So your mind is like, oh, yep, everything makes sense. With Doctor Who, they strike this balance that at least in the new series, right, in the 2005, it's like they have practical effects and some CGI effects. The CGI effects are okay, but I mean, it's 2005, right? So they are actually pretty good for the time, and for not being Hollywood or anything like that. So it actually looks pretty good. I think that the only thing that I can fault them for is that everything looks, obviously for reasons, most of the crazy things are humanoid looking. So it's always like, obviously a dude in a suit, but whatever. Still, the practical effects are very good. I think that. Oh wait, this is what I was saying. Like, the mana base in these decks is better than normally, and mostly because you have the reveal lands, you have the scry lands, and then you see more reveal lands. The stream ones. So if you have 2 or more basic lands, which is great for Commander. Same for Canopy Vista. You have the what I call the flexible lands, and like the mana base is better than in most precons. And there are theories for this, because these decks are not the most difficult to play in terms of mana base. I mean, it's 3 colors most of the time. So yeah, it's difficult, but it's not like 5 color decks or anything. So what's up with that? And the theory here is that they did that to make these decks more appealing to non-Doctor Who fans. Which, I guess, for example, the Horizon Canopy C, pay 1 life, it gives you one or the other. And if you 1 and tap, you can sacrifice and draw a card. Like these are very, it's not the best lands ever, but these are, fairly good lands. And in a precon, they are very, not often seen, which is weird. And you may be thinking, well, those lands are nothing to write home about. So how is it that, you're making such a fuss about what is technically not that good lands? Like, they're kind of shitty. And the reason is because, well, when you are used to oh, the command tower is nice. When you are used to being mistreated, everything looks nice, right? So in this case, I love the fact that the lands is always the TARDIS somewhere, by the way. It's like, it's great. It's like one of those details, right? Because otherwise it's just like forest, etc. So I love that they have that attention to detail, which is something that really triggers me with Universes Beyond, is that they really take more care of these products than the actual Wizards products. And I mean, it's okay. I prefer, like, if you ask me point blank, do you prefer Lord of the Rings or Magic? I will say Lord of the Rings, or I guess a Doctor Who fan would prefer this than Jace the Mind Sculpture, right? But like, I like the other lore too, right? So like, if they make a TV series or something, I think that people will love it as well, but whatever. I digress. In terms of this deck, I was talking about everything else besides the deck itself. So this deck is, quote, the legacy deck. I think, well, we will rank them all at the end. You will see like which ones I think are better or not better. You have some reprints here. There is some value in this deck. It depends by the time you get this, right? I think they're going to reprint them by Christmas, because this, is a very easy thing to give to someone that likes Doctor Who. So you have some 10 new cards or something, which are the ones that obviously have names that reflect things from Doctor Who, and then the rest are reprints or, cards from with just like reskins, right? The whole deck is played in this way, and you can tell by looking at the commander pretty much, right? So the 4th Doctor, you can always see what you have, which is, I think it has to do with some quirk of the Doctor, I guess, but you may play a historic land or cast a historic spell from the top of your library. So if you can see that at any time, that's good. And when you do, you create food. So the whole thing is creating food. And then Sarah Jane, which is a co-commander, basically, whenever you cast a historic spell, investigate. So by every time that you cast a historic spell, and you can tell that the upgrades for this deck is basically just more artifacts, sagas, and legendary creatures. But it's complicated because this deck already has a lot of that. Like, it's not the most synergistic deck of the set, but like, you see, like artifact, and then you have like, the whole thing. But if we consider that artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic, so this is a 100 deck card, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But you get the point. But I think I was at the end. Yep. So 61. Okay. And this doesn't count. Okay. So pretty much more than half of the deck, if not, more than half of the deck is historic things, right? There's actually one historic land only, which is funny why it says, oh, you may play a historic land or cast a historic spell. So it's only written that way because the land is free, but the spells you need to pay for them, right? So it's not like free stuff, but at least it's like having an extra card in your hand at all times because you can see it at all times. And every time you do that, this lady here makes you investigate, right? And only happens once each turn, so you can't abuse it. But every time you investigate, you create a clue token. So clue tokens, I don't like clue tokens. I don't like them in Commander or anything. It's like, well, it's 2, you pay 2 and sacrifice it, draw cards. Like, it's very, very meh. At least the food tokens that are created with the 4th Doctor, well, same, like 2 you sacrifice and you get 3 life. So the trick here is the cards that use artifacts to sacrifice and stuff like that, right? Like every time that you consume food or clues more than using them for their actual effect, you gain something, right? So the 4th Doctor, I think this is the hardest deck to sell for multiple reasons, and let me explain. Because the reason is, well, these are the bad guys. Even someone that doesn't really know Doctor Who, even if you don't know who Davros is or Missy, you have seen these and these sometime in your life. If you are mildly geek, right? Like if you're like geek shit and stuff like that, you have seen one of these two at any point in your life, right? Like a Cyberman or a Dalek. Like there is no way over it. Like you have, or around it, or any direction you want to go. Like you have seen it. So you recognize this, and this is like the bad guys, right? If you are watching Doctor Who right now, this is the marketable one, right? It's like, well, you have the 12 and 13 Doctors. So the 13th Doctor is the most recent one, even though technically she isn't anymore, because the 14th is the 10th again, or at least the same actor, and then the 15th is already confirmed. There is a new person as well, and that is beginning on Christmas. So technically, this is kind of outdated already, but so this is the later one. So this is easy for you to be like, oh yeah, this is Doctor Who. Even if you are just watching it casually or anything, you recognize because it's the current Doctor, right? Or almost the current Doctor. And this one is the most famous Doctor. So 9, 10, and 11, which, but they put 10 here because everyone loves the 10th Doctor, apparently. I don't disagree. I just haven't seen the entire season yet. I like the guy. I like the actor. So that one, but this one, is, oh yeah, it's the old people. Like, it's the old series, right? So this is very hard to market. Plus, the way to play that deck is not easy, which brings me to the second deck, Masters of Evil, blue, black, red, and Exterminate and Davros, right? So let's see, and let's talk about this deck. One thing that they got rid of, maybe I am not seeing it, but I love it when the commander decks have like a phrase when you open them, and they have like a phrase that is a joke or a pun or something that has to do with the. Okay, that's just me and wanting wizards to recognize me. Acknowledge me, senpai. So plane chase cards, same logic, right? The tokens, TARDIS, Davros, the Divider with Missy. At least I believe it's Missy. I may be very wrong. And the deck box, quotation marks. Same here. I find it funny that she's like everywhere, and technically she's not the main commander of the deck, is Davros. Yeah, in the other, a different doctor was the one in the life spinner. So what do I know, right? Here the same. Oh, there was an extra piece of cardboard here. I don't care about this. Plane chase die. This one is slightly different, but still it's like the cosmos, which is great. So there is that. So deck box, I'm gonna put it here. Deck box. So the deck, life counter, Missy as well. They didn't try too much with this, which is a shame because they have a lot of bad guys here. So they could like use different stuff for different parts, but whatever. What do I know, right? I'm just a poser. I just started watching Doctor Who now. Who am I? So a little explanation and how to play this deck. Basically, you're the bad guys. That's kind of the whole thing. And yeah, see, Missy and Davros. But it is put in a way that Missy is the main commander. Well, it's me and my OCD talking, so bear with me for a second. Now, why are Davros and Missy blue, black, and red? So both these villainous characters are blue aligned due to their ingenious level intellect and problem-solving abilities. They are also red due to their capacity for anger, violence, and passion. The black alignment comes from their strong ambitions and willingness to sacrifice others to achieve their goals, which is a nice way of putting that Wizards really is trying for a long time now to run away from that preconceived notion of black equals bad guys, because well, it is what it is. So plane chase cards, the way the cards are different in every deck, and technically this means that buying the collector boosters is kind of a waste of money, because if you buy the like if you're a collector or if you are just a very enthusiast Doctor Who fan, the thing that you want to do is to buy the 4 decks, I guess, because you get the full set, Donna Noble, and everybody leaves, and in foil, wild art, not bad. By the way, the cards, in case you're new to this, the cards, this is just not good. The cards in the collector booster sample are not necessary cards that are going to be in the deck that you're opening. It's just cards from the set. So in this case, you have cards from a different deck. And another thing that I want to point out is that, well, you get all the cards plus the plane chase cards. These cards are not in the collector boosters. If you are new to this, the collector boosters contain 15 cards. Okay, so don't think they contain 2. This is a demo. This is a sample. They just do this to entice you with the possibility and to try to attract you into the ruinous game and that is Magic the Gathering. Don't be like me. Have a life. The Doctor's Tomb. Oh man, am I spoiling myself? Fuck. I plan. My hope is that after the video is published, I kind of can forget about the things I'm saying. If you're like, but why are you surprised by the plane chase cards? I don't play with plane chase cards because my playing group doesn't like them, right? So, see, like 13 Doctor. They make it, and I quote their words. They make the game too board gamey. Which is funny because that's exactly what Magic the Gathering is. It's a board game. It's a TCG. Yes, it's a trading card game with collectible cards. But still, people, you need a table to play it. And yeah. Someone's going to send me a video of someone playing Magic in a standing or something. And someone is going to make a joke about, well, Yu-Gi-Oh is a superior game because they play standing up. And in Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds, I think it's 5 days, they even play in fucking motorcycles at the same time that they are, battling for their lives in a post-apocalyptic future. So, tokens, see, the main commander is Davros, so I don't understand this deck. Legendary artifact creature, Alien Scientist, 1/1 blue, 1 black, 1 red, has menace, and at the beginning of your end step, create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace if an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn. Then each opponent who lost 3 or more life this turn faces a villainous choice. You draw a card or that player discards a card. So, treasure, Dalek, clue, copy, Alien Angel, Dalek, Alien Angel, Cyberman, Mark of the Rani. Copy, clue, Mark of the Rani, Dalek, Cyberman. So they are repeating it. So yeah, Cyberman and Dalek and the guide cards, and not bad. Okay, so what is this deck about? What's up with this? So we have Davros, which, as you can see, is all about the beginning of your end step. You create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace if an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn. And if that happened, you have a villainous choice. You get cards or they discard a card. So this is, damage oriented. And it has menace. So you can start attacking with this as soon as you can, and it will be difficult to block. In case you're new to this, menace means that they need to block you with 2 creatures or more. And you have Missy. Missy is a Time Lord rogue. Spoilers, and whenever, because before I didn't know what a Time Lord was, but now I know. And I thought the Doctor was the last one. Whenever another non-artifact creature dies, return it to the battlefield face down, tapped, under your control. He's a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent faces a villainous choice. Each artifact creature you control deals 1 damage to the opponent, or you draw a card and chaos ensues. Chaos only applies if you're playing Plane Chase. So this card may be deflated if you're not playing with Plane Chase, which happens with some other cards that all cards have like 2 effects if they have like Plane Chase, and one is always like a normal effect, and then they have the Plane Chase one. But if you're not playing with Plane Chase cards, then it's like meh. You are losing half of the card to a degree. Zygon Infiltrator. So this deck, to my surprise, right? So I never liked, in video games and stuff, I never liked playing with the bad guys. Exterminate. And that means that I really didn't want to play with this deck, same as the Sauron deck in the Lord of the Rings, just because I don't like playing with the bad guys. What can I say? But I think that right off the box, this is the deck that works the best with itself. Like, all the other decks are made to work. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like, oh, the other decks are like pieces of broken things. But this one weirdly works, but it works only with itself. Like, there is a lot of cards here that only make sense. Oh, nice, all right. They only make sense in this deck. Like, I can't see any other deck where this makes sense, right? So, Lightning Grips. It's a very weird deck. I like it, but it's a deck that, and you can see by the cards, like it's a deck that forces you to be aggressive, and like, ironically, and by the way, just like a small pause, ironically, this is like, you don't have partners in this deck. Like, you don't have a doctor and a partner. You just have Davros and Missy, and you can pick one or the other. They don't collaborate with each other. That's why they both are 3 colors. So you can have 2 different styles of play depending on what you choose as your commander, right? Both are valid as commanders. The fun thing is that they both incentivate the same. So that's why I'm saying that the whole deck, because sometimes the co-commander or the second commander, whatever you want to call it, is not really, like, you can tell that it's like, it works with the deck, but it's like an afterthought, or it's like a nice idea that they had. It's like, it's not the main commander of the deck. But in this case, you really can just switch between them, but the gameplay is more or less the same. So Davros is cheaper, is a 3/4, and I guess you pulled him and everything that you can as fast as possible, and you keep attacking so that you do damage, and you have red cards here so you can do direct damage. So because it says every time an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn, so it doesn't say that it needs to be combat damage or anything. So you just do that damage, and then you get a Dalek for that. And Daleks, mind you, are just 3/3s, right? But they have menace, right? So it it becomes a factory of unblockable things. Well, not unblockable, but very difficult to block things, where you can just sacrifice your Daleks until like it, you can just keep pushing. That's the joke. Just keep pushing for it, right? So if you keep pushing, I just noticed that I put the gloves with too much dynamic intent today, and they are pulled, but whatever. And then you have like an extra bonus thing, which is they pick if you draw a card or they lose one. So, but ironically, Missy is kind of the same, but backwards, right? In the sense that it's like, well, whenever another non-artifact creature dies, and it means not only yours, returning to the battlefield face down tapped under your control. It's a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. So, because of how the deck is structured, you can just attack with stuff. If it dies, it becomes a Cyberman, and everything else that dies from other people, because mind you can also do damage to things here with other cards, it becomes a 2/2 Cyberman. So, at the beginning of your end step, each opponent faces a villainous choice. So, the same logic applies here. Each artifact creature you control deals 1 damage to the opponent, so you want to build an army here. Or you draw a card and chaos ensures. So if you're playing Pain Chase, this is better obviously, but they are kind of two faces of the same logic. Interesting to me because it doesn't really apply all the time like that in Commander. Cyber Conversion is a very good card because turn target creature face down. It is a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. Now, you may be thinking, well, I mean, that's kind of okay. No, that's great because this converts commanders, my friend. So you really, really, really want this. And it's pretty cheap to get rid of a commander. It becomes a Cyberman. The only problem is that it's not under your control. So you need to deal with it. And Cybermen are not that difficult to deal with. They are just an artifact creature. See, it doesn't have any extra effects. It just says you can cover, it becomes a Cyberman to 2 artifact. So it's not as good as, making them into a bug or something, but, very good to get rid of anything. And you can even protect yourself with this. You can even convert stuff into Cybermen to avoid targets. Haunted by the Family, creatures you don't control. And see, for each one, the controller faces a villainous choice. Either becomes a human, loses all abilities, or you create a token that's a copy of it, right? So it has a lot of this villainous choice, which you can tell that it's like someone is having fun with this. And all these decks have a lot of new designs. Like I think it's half of the deck more or less is new design. So again, you get bang for your buck. See, exterminate. And when Dalek drone enters the battlefield, destroy target creature and opponent controls. That player loses 3 life. See how it goes? It's all built like that. It has like these weird numbers and damage. See, like you gain 3 life, they lose 3 life. Indestructible. It has shadow. You can block, be blocked by creatures with shadow. It has morbid. In the beginning of each step, if a creature dies this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Vashta Nerada. So the Time Reaper is a flying haste card and says consume anomaly. Whenever Time Reaper deals combat damage to a player, put target face up card they own in exile on the bottom of the library. If you do, you gain 3 life. So why wouldn't you want to? But I don't know. Doomsday Confluence, choose X. Again, each player sacrifices an artifact, you create a 3/3 Dalek, or each opponent discards the card. Toymaker's Trap. So there is a bunch of these, and a lot of these cards do damage directly. And then you have stuff like Visor Turtle, which if this person is in the villainous guise, but he is a doctor's companion, I think this is a spoiler. But and this is funny because you don't have a doctor here, so this is just for deck building in the future. Genesis of the Daleks, and again, sagas, how to create the Daleks, this is how it ends. The creature owner shuffles it, they lose 5 life. So you have a lot of this, of just forcing them to lose life. That's why the lead deals X damage to each non-artifact creature or each player ensnared by the Mara. Day of the Moon. Choose a creature card name, then go all creatures with with a name chosen for Day of the Moon. So it has a lot of damage effects and how to play around. It's difficult to describe this because I can assure you, if you just look at this deck as I'm showing it to you, because I mean we can talk about every card. Otherwise, this will be like a very long video or a very weird podcast. But if you look at this deck, which I think is funny enough, is one of the most emblematic decks because it's full of, you know, the weird creatures from the Doctor Who series. So it's interesting. See the Cyber Controller, legendary artifact creature, Cyberman. This can be a great commander. When the Cyber Controller enters the battlefield, each opponent mills X cards. Put all creature cards milled this way into the battlefield face down on your control. They are 2/2 Cyberman artifact creatures, or the artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. And Code of Scaro, the Dalek Emperor, Ashat the Lone Cyberman. It's full of very emblematic moments and creatures. So I think this deck is one of the funniest. One of the most fun to open and to see, and just be like Salim Silvakra, and just be like, oh, okay, interesting. Oh, I remember this, remember that. Oh, I recognize this, I recognize that. So this is full of references and all the stuff from bad guys. Again, the mana base is better than the average deck. It's not super crazy, but again, remember that the most important thing in any Magic the Gathering deck is, ironically, the thing that is the cheapest or the most expensive, depending on what you want, and that is the lands, the mana base. Because the lands are the ones that are going to determine what and how fast you can play stuff in your deck, right? So because of that, when you have a above average the mana base, you can be sure that nice. You can be sure that you have something that's better than the average. Again, this is not like nothing to write home about, but it's better than the average, and that's all that matters. Now, this deck is, these are like the Doctor Who versions of the staples. See how many staples are in Commander nowadays, and then not that many basic lands. You can tell a precon is good when they only give you like 2 of each basic land, because it's like, okay, brother, we got you. We have the cool lands. Don't worry, because they know that you need a good, mana base. So for the bad guys deck, or as it's called, Masters of Evil, the whole gimmick is to attack, do damage, and then screw people over. And if you like bad guys, I guess that's your deck. We're going to compare them and go into more detail about their synergies, because they are kind of made to play together, which is funny because it makes this not on paper not that expensive board game, but in theory, in practice, it's a very expensive board game, because in theory, if you want a Doctor Who board game, you have 4 commander decks. You can just buy the 4 commander decks. By the way, we're going to open Paradox Power, which is the one with the 12 and 13 doctors. You have 4 commander decks, right? So if you have 4 commander decks, that's a board game right there. You have all the things you need to play with 4 other people. And that's great. Now, it all comes down to the price of the product, right? So again, this has different tokens. Doesn't have any mention to confetti or anything. I think that it's sad that this one that is going to introduce Magic to some people that never saw Magic doesn't have the fun puns and things that normally the commander decks has, but whatever. So same logic here. This person here, I don't know who he is because I haven't seen the series yet. So, and there is this. Now the deck box, green, blue, red, which is they kind of covered all the colors to a degree, right? So in all the decks. Now for the life counter, the Doctor. Let me know in the comments below what's your favorite Doctor. I guess everyone is going to send the 10th, but if you don't like because I saw a lot of people saying that the current Doctor is not that cool or anything. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I will see it though. So, but I'm curious. Why do you think that is? Typically, in Magic, you play cards from your hand, but an average day with the Doctor is anything but typical. Enter Paradox. So, same logic as the others. Now, you have the 13th Doctor and Jasmine Khan. So, where are the 13th Doctor and Jasmine Khan green, blue, and red aligned? The 13th Doctor embodies blue alignment in her scientific genius and curiosity, and green alignment from her pursuit of adventure, independence, and loyalty to her family. Jasmine, Jazz, Khan, falls under red alignment because of her impulsive jump into action and her brave and passionate nature. So you can already tell this is the Doctor and Companion deck. So let's see the Plane Chase cards. There is the collector sample booster. I may want to buy a sonic screwdriver, by the way. Martha Jones in white art and a Songgrass Prairie. See, even the lands are one and tap. It gives you two colors. This is better than it looks, by the way, because since you have a lot of things like Sol Ring that just gives you colorless mana, having that flexibility is great. Now, for the Plane Chase cards. I know that we're not going that into detail into the Plane Chase cards because I don't play Plane Chase that much. But they're pretty self-explanatory. I mean, if you're seeing the video, if you pause it at any moment, you can just be like, oh, okay. Creatures in the battlefield tapped. And then when chaos ensues, this happens, right? So not much there. It's just more for you to see like the plane is really nothing more. The drum mining facility, sinking towers of Darilium, fixed point in time, besieged Viking village, North Pole research base, the Temple of Atropos, Kerblam warehouse, or Kerblam, I guess, the dining car, and the Doctor's childhood bar. Okay. This is kind of a collector speaking kind of thing, but the most difficult thing about the Plane Chase cards is to decide where the hell do I store them, because they are too big. I need to buy the extra big slips for them, and then they don't fit with the deck itself. So and they don't fit in a deck box, so you need to do something with it, I guess. So let's see the tokens and the commander card. So the 13th Doctor, which I know that I'm new to Doctor Who, but if my understanding is that the Doctor is always the same, just changes bodies, and now he's a woman, which I don't have a problem with that. I'm just worried about the physiology. I guess it's just like a physical change, but it's like an illusion, like like the wallet that he has that shows whatever you want to see. But this is just me guessing, by the way. I will get to this, but I can laugh at this in the future when I see the actual series. But how is it that has different character traits? Shouldn't be the same character, more or less? I mean, because this one, just by the illustration alone, she seems like a very deranged, mad scientist kind of archetype. But the others weren't like that. So is the same Doctor? Is different? I don't know. Don't spoil it. Or like, if you're going to explain it, do it in a non-spoiler way, please. Because I'm already explaining myself with the deck. So human, fish, clue, beast, food, copy again, treasure. I love that treasures and food have like different. Alien warrior, alien, copy, alien warrior, alien rhino, or alien rhino, copy, Osgood, Operation Double, human alien shapeshifter. This token's mana cost is 2 and 2 blue. What the hell? Tap. Add 1 colorless, spend this mana only to cast an artifact or activate an ability, or artifact, and paradox. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, investigate. Okay. Alien Warrior and Treasure, and then the 2 reference cards. Now, this is the deck that I played the least with, and ironically, I think is the easiest one to play with, and maybe the one that is the most broken, maybe. Why? Because I also haven't played that much. Like I played like, I don't know, 6 games with them. Like I haven't played that much because the more I played, the more familiar I got with the cards, and the more I realized I was spoiling myself. So I was like, oh, is this really worth it? Why are we still here just to suffer? So the 13th Doctor, for 1 green and 1 blue, is a 2/2 that says Paradox. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And then you have Team TARDIS. At the beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control with a counter on it. So you can see what the mechanic is, and you can see why this card and this deck is kind of the most powerful one, to a degree. It's not the most powerful one, but it's like the easiest to play with, the most straightforward, like Beam Bam Boom. Jasmine Khan is, costs 3 and 1 red, is a 3/3 that says, tap, exile the top card of your library until the next end step, you may play it. Doctor's Companion, you may have 2 commanders if the other is the Doctor. So I never remember, and this is the thing about Magic, I never remember if it said you may play it. I need to pay the casting cost, right? If I recall correctly. Yeah, because otherwise it will say without paying its mana cost. You just say play because if it is a land, it's free. Okay, so this is an enabler for this. Now, this sounds super duper, but please remember that in Commander, even if they are both commanders, you need to put both of them on the field. This is kind of an expensive effort for 2 things, and the Doctor can be targeted a lot earlier, and you need to keep tapping this so that you can do the stuff, whatever. Let's see. Let me show you the rest of the deck, and we will discuss it. So, Psychic Paper, see, this is the wallet I was talking about. Becomes attached to a creature. Choose a creature card, name, and a creature type. Equipped creature has ward 1, it can be blocked, and its name and creature type are the last chosen. Okay, interesting. TARDIS, obviously, flying whenever TARDIS attacks. If you control a Time Lord, the next spell you cast this turn has Cascade, and you may Planeswalk. So TARDIS is very good. And it has Crew too, so if you want to use it per se. Sonic Screwdriver, which I love that they have different arts for different decks. Start the TARDIS, by the way, the cards are kind of bent already, even though I just opened this thing. Surveil 2 and Jumpstart is I find it funny that they had to create the cards within the theme of each deck, so you won't see like other Doctors appear here because it's like, no. Iraxa, Empress of Mars, Memory Worm, Decaying Time Loop. Discard all cards in your hand that draw that many cards and retrace. You may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a land card. So the whole deck is full of things like this. Do this, do that, exile this, cast this thing. Each player secretly votes for truth or consequences, then votes are revealed. You draw cards equal to the number of truth votes, then choose an opponent at random. Truth or consequence deals 3 damage to the player for each consequence vote, which is very funny to play with multiple people. Not that funny if you happen to be playing Commander 101, which is not the way it's meant to be played, but you know, sorry for not having that many friends all the time. Bigger on the inside, which again, this can be applied to any Doctor, but the drawings and everything fits within this theme, which is something that I like and appreciate. I don't really like that the text is too close to the border, so my OCD is triggering like crazy, but what can you do, right? Wreck and Rebuild, Arcane Signet, like the whole, see, like every card, even if they have like random effects, if you have things like Flashback, that already counts as casting from somewhere else. So every time that you cast stuff from outside, and Cascade also counts as a condition for Paradox, right? So everything that has Cascade triggers the Doctor. And remember, every time you trigger the Doctor, you put a +1/+1 counter, and everything that has a +1/+1 counter untaps at the end of your turn, right? So that's with the Doctor only. That's only the Doctor, right? Because Jasmine is useful, but she's like an active card. You need to use it. I guess that the most value that you can get from Jasmine is to put a +1/+1 counter on it as soon as you can, so that you can tap her, and then at the end of the turn you untap her, and then you can tap her again at any point, because it's until your next end step. So you can do it like in opponent's turn or anything. If you don't need her to block, that's a very good thing, right? Putting onto the battlefield doesn't count as cast, by the way, so not everything triggers the Doctor. Yeah, so when you cast this spell, create a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't a legendary. It's funny because they went out of the way to have a copy card of this when you have copy tokens, but I guess again they put too much care into this, which I appreciate, don't get me wrong, but become the pilot. Channel creature commander, channel commander creature, until the creature gets +2/+2. So you have mechanisms to defend yourself. You can create copies. So this is pretty much like copies and summon things from outside of your deck. Now, I think this is the most broken deck, to call it somehow, in the sense that because it's very straightforward. Like there is no extra steps, as you will see with the others, but we will discuss that in a second. Flaming Tyrannosaurus, what the hell? Ryan Sinclair, Return the Past, Impending Flux, The Flux, Sisterhood of Karn, Graham O'Brien, Carvanista. Plus, fun fact, apparently not all, if not any, Doctor Who actor knew that this thing exists. So people, apparently one person asked one of the actors to sign one of the cards, and they were like, oh, what is this? And it became a showing of magic cards. The 12th Doctor, by the way, which apparently no one likes him, because I've never seen anyone talking about the 12th Doctor, even though he's a rock star, apparently. Maybe he's trying too hard, I don't know. The Fugitive Doctor, which, by the way, I asked, and this is something that was answered to me as well in the comment, and I want to thank once again for the help about the different doctors. So these are like one-off doctors, right, from specials and stuff, which I have to say, if you're not in the UK and like you can't access like the BBC page and see stuff right there, accessing some of the Doctor Who stuff is kind of a pain in the balls. Like you need to go through loops and hoops and subscriptions, and it's like, oh, are you in the UK? It's like, no. Oh, okay, so sorry. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but hey, nonetheless, watching it, and we cool. Again, mana base, likely this is I think this is the one that is the easiest to work with of all the others. And why? Because like basic lands don't play like that much of a role here. But you have, the good mana base, reaching cards, destroy cards, draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand to the battlefield. Is a land, not a basic land, so that's great. Talisman of Curiosity, Talisman of Impulse, which is great because that way you can see what each Doctor is about. Rogue's Passage, Frontier Vesuvak, Reliquary Tower, Mirror Landscape, Temple of the False God. This is the usual cards, but just like with different art and very cool. Ominous Cemetery, and then the lands, which ironically, this is the deck that has the most basic lands of all, right? So, but somehow it works. Because it doesn't need the lands that much. I think that's why they slacked on it to a degree. Now, I will talk a little bit more about this deck when I compare them, otherwise it spoils that thing. Now let's go talk about the last deck, the one that I play with the most, just because, I don't know, I was watching the 10th Doctor, so the second season, and I was like, Alonzai and the 10th Doctor, right? So let's go. Bad cardboard. Doesn't count. Counters. The 10th Doctor, which obviously deserves its own card because everyone loves this guy. Again, I'm saying it's a bad thing. I'm just like, as an observer, because they even brought the same actor again for the 14th. Same thing, Rose Tyler, which I was surprised because I thought that when they changed Doctor, they changed Companion, but I realized in the second season that that's not the case, baby. Which also helps adding some context into why did the actor change, right? So, box. And again, I know that someone's going to tell me like, oh yeah, the Doctor is the same. Their personalities are the same as well because it's the same person or Time Lord or whatever. It's just that each actor kind of brings a little bit of their own into the role. And it's like, no, I have nothing against that. I'm just saying that one thing is to bring a little bit of your own into the role. The other thing is to be a completely different person. Like, it's not like the Doctor is not a scientist. The Doctor is a scientist, but to be like a mad scientist, I don't know. The second Doctor, in TARDIS style portrait, and into the time vortex in white art, Cascade and Rebound. So now for the plane chase cards. Some of them, I know that some of them look like the same card, the same place, but they're not. Trust me. For example, I sometimes confuse some of them, but it's just because they are buildings and a building is a building. The Lux Foundation Library, Lake Silencio, Amy's home, Odd Sphere, Human Time, Lord Metacrisis, Bad Wolf Bay, Two Streams Facility, Prime Minister's Cabinet Room. I saw this episode. New York, Pompeii, and the Foundation Library. Okay. Again, I'm not trying to this plane chase, but it is what it is. Life counter, obviously the 10th Doctor here. Now for the insert, the magical insert. Time me why me. Time may be a wibbly wobbly ball of stuff, but this deck harnesses it by manipulating the flow of time itself. And you will see why in a second. So, the 10th Doctor, energetic, charismatic, and hungry for adventure. Spoilers, I guess. And Rose Tyler, companion to the 9th and 10th Doctor. So, yeah. She was forever changed by her adventures in the TARDIS, and afterwards continued her own adventures while stranded in a... Spoilers! Why are the 10th Doctor and Rose Tyler blue, red, and white aligned? Blue and red define the 10th Doctor, a person of great intelligence and quick humor, as well as a fiery passion, emotion, and drive for action. Rose Tyler's white alignment stems from her altruism and willingness to risk herself in the face of danger. I just want to point how funny it is to say color alignments, given how bad it sounds in English, with white and black in particular. Now, this deck is not only for the 10th Doctor, even though I am acting as it is, because that's how the fandom acts, but it also has the 9th and the 11th. As a trivia, everyone told me that the 9th Doctor was kind of meh, and I mean, I like the guy. Come on, I don't know. He was a cool dude. I don't have any problem with him. Like, it was funny. Dinosaur, soldier, horse. Doctors you control have horsemanship, which is a very dangerous skill, by the way, because it means they can't be blocked except by creatures with horsemanship. So, human, treasure, clue, human noble, food, alien, copy, alien, dinosaur, dinosaur, copy, copy dinosaur, copy alien, and soldier, and the 2 reference cards. Well, a reference card and an ad. So now let's see the commander and the co-commander, Rose Tyler herself. So the 10th Doctor is a 3 blue red 3/5 legendary creature Time Lord Doctor. Alongside, whenever you attack, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Put 3 time counters on it. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. And then you have Timey-Wimey for 7. Time travels 3 times. Activate only as a sorcery. For each suspended card you own and each permanent you control with a time counter on it, you may add or remove a time counter. Then do it 2 more times. You can tell that they really gave their all to the time traveling mechanic thing in this one, because this is not the funniest deck to play with, or it is, depending on what type of player you are. If you're a blue player, you're going to love this freaking thing. If you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, you will feel right at home, right? Because it's like everything activates your trap cards because they are like suspended for 3 turns. We'll see in a second how this works. And then Rose Tyler is a Doctor's companion, so she goes together with the 10th or any other Doctor. And Rose Tyler gets +1/+1 for each time counter on it. So you can just, which makes sense because it's her experience as a time traveler. So every time she time travels, right? Right. And Bad Wolf, whenever Rose Tyler attacks, put a time counter on it for each suspended card you own on each other permanents you control with a time counter on it. So this combo is very funny, and we'll see the other Doctors in a second, because you may have the temptation, as I had, to be like, no, I want to play with the 9th Doctor. But this is a funny deck, right? And when we compare them all, you will see in a second. But these decks are interesting, and this is what kind of triggers me as a Magic player first. That is like, I am getting into Doctor Who and I'm liking it, and I'm understanding some references, and the integration of lore and mechanics is on fucking point. The same that happened with the Lord of the Rings, etc. Now, what triggers me is that the mechanics are also on freaking point. Like, all these decks play in a different way that really reflects the character that is the commander, right? And in this case, they both work perfectly, because the 10th Doctor, and you can tell they put they're all into this. So whenever you attack, exile cards from the top of the library until you exile a non-land card, and then you put 3 time counters on it, and it gains suspend, right? So it's suspended, and you know how suspend works. So, and then you have Timey-Wimey, which is expensive because it costs 7, but you time travel 3 times. There are other cards here that time travel, but you can just go back and forth. It's like a proliferate, but up or down as you want, right? And then Rose, in terms of flavor, is freaking on point, because for each time counter she's more powerful, which makes sense because, well, she grows with the series, right? So every time she time travels, etc. But then every time she attacks, you put a time counter on it for each suspended card. So you're going to attack with Rose a lot, and it's going to look very weird because Rose is going to be like this behemoth creature, and nothing against Rose, but it's just Rose. I mean, but it's going to like dwarf crazy things. And this is the crazy thing about current Magic the Gathering, and is that Rose Tyler is going to humiliate a lot of powerful creatures from Magic, like in very few turns, because she gets a time counter for each suspended card with a time counter on it, and you just get more of them because of this. Plus, all these other cards do that. So what happens here is that she gets +1/+1s all the time. She's just accumulating energy, and every time she attacks, she gets more. So she's like a rolling ball of always attacking. It's just very funny, and the synergy and the lore are chef kiss, right? Like, mwah, like in this is perfect. So besides this, Atraxi Warden enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target type creature, and you have suspend. So prepare for those wars. In case you don't know what is suspend, let me illustrate you by reading it verbatim. Rather than cast this card from your hand, you may pay 1 and 1 white and exile it with 5 time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter. When the last is removed, cast it without paying its mana cost. It has haste. Now, the problem is that, and this is what I wanted to get to the, like, suspend gets time counters, right? So every time you take a time counter, you need to do it at the beginning of your upkeep, because it says at the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter. It's not optional. You need to do it, right? So Rose Tyler will get more powerful, but at the same time, she won't, right? And this is the interesting thing about this deck. That is that, and it's weird that it's a white card, because it kind of fits, because her power comes from Unity and others. So I guess that makes sense. Again, right on the spot, because again, like, you will lose time counters. She will lose time counters because she gets a +1/+1 for each time counter on it, but time counters go down, right? Except that they only go down if you have suspend, but she doesn't have suspend, so it keeps there. But the others are always losing. So yeah, I don't know. I just like it's a time paradox in itself, and it's funny that this is the one called timey-wimey, and the other is paradox, because this is a paradox in itself. But whatever. Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, time travel. So there you go, and draw a card. Time beetle, parallel universe. Whenever a time beetle deals combat damage to the player, time travel. So there is a lot of suspend and time travel. Most of the new cards have the time travel mechanic, and these cards are going, in my opinion, are going to be very useful, because they say time travel, and time travel is, and let me just, for each suspended card you own and each permanent you control with a time counter on it, you may add or remove a time counter. So for decks, you can just build like a crazy deck with suspend cards, because Magic is full of suspend cards. Like, this is like it's not full, but this is like the comeback of suspend, right? So it's interesting because they just overpower the mechanic. Well, not overpower, but they gave resources to the mechanic. So now you can do stuff, and you can do crazy stuff with it. And Talisman of Conviction is the tie of the 11th. Bow ties are cool. That's Conviction. Evolving Wilds, Wilfred Moth, everybody leaves. Everything comes to dust. So you have both sides of the equation. 4 knocks. And as you can see, well, there's a lot of white play here, like basically not letting you play. Some red to do some direct damage, but it's all about counters up, counters down, counters up, counters down, counters up, counters down. And Astrid Beth, Cracking Time, The Girl in the Fireplace, Martha Jones. And you will see that we have a bunch of these. All of History, All at Once. Great movie, by the way. Time Travel, and a Storm. When you cast a spell, copy it for each spell cast before it, this Storm. So you're just going... It's crazy to play this deck, and I like it because it really pushes my planning skills and my brain and math to a degree. Nice, Coward Killer. See, I saw this one, so I get the references. Nice. The Parting of the Ways. The Ninth Doctor. See, you can actually play with this one as well because the same colors, but it's a lot simpler to play with, which I guess is faithful to each Doctor, I guess. Into the TARDIS. Whenever the Ninth Doctor becomes untapped during your untap step, you get an additional upkeep step after this step. So you can do crazy stuff with this one, but you know, it's not like it's going to change your life, right? So Jenny, Generated Anomaly, Rory Williams, The Last Centurion. The 11th Doctor, I am talking, whenever the 11th Doctor deals combat damage to a player, you may exile a card from your hand with a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. So this one, for example, even though this can be your commander, this one is kind of a support card to the other, in my opinion. I wouldn't make it the commander for the deck, because I mean they're not supposed to be. You can make them, but they're not supposed to be. But the Face of Bo, Run for Your Life, nice. The Day of the Doctor, Welfare Fells, No More, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Guess Seward. So again, I'm kind of flying through this one because, well, the video is long enough already, and because you can tell that the mechanic is pretty much suspend and time counter, suspend and time counter, suspend and time counters. Wedding Ring, which is a spoiler, I guess. Inspire Refrain, As Foretold, Fractured Identity, Port Town, and then we get the lands, the quote-unquote good lands. Per stream, we get the Farmland, Deserted Beach, Glacial Fortress, Skycloud Expanse, Temple of Epiphany, Frostboil Snarl, Thespian Stage, Fulcrum Snarl, War Room, Sunbreak Canyon, Sundown Pass. They even printed like... It's funny because these cards have such vague names that you can just adapt anything into them and it makes sense. And it's like, oh yeah, sure. Command Tower, Path of Ancestry. It makes sense because Temple of the False God, Myriad Landscape, Thriving Bluff, Mystic Monastery, Omnis Cemetery, Rogues Passage, and then Plains, Islands, and Mountains. So that's the last deck. Now for the conclusions. So I guess that you can just put a timestamp to this and jump the entire video if you don't want to get bored by my voice. So which one is the best deck? Is it the one with all the old doctors? Is the one with the bad guys? Is the one with the 13th and 12th doctors? Or is it the one with 9, 10, and 11? Well, it depends on multiple fronts. Depending on value, you could say that in terms of value, they are more or less the same, with an obvious advantage for the bad guys. So in terms of value, it's... Well, actually, wait, if I recall correctly, it's the old Doctor. So I think in terms of value is pretty much like this, right? So most valuable cards, less valuable cards, right? So, and funny enough, this is the deck that you can still find cheap. And actually, because as this is not a board game but an investment, apparently, it depends on the value of the cards themselves. You have, these ones are very expensive to get. This is kind of expensive to get, mostly because of the 10th Doctor himself, because it's the most recognizable, because the cards, like, it has value on it, don't get me wrong. And this is the one with less valuable cards. All of these are $200+ in cards, right? So all of them are worth it. Now, it depends on the price, right? What's the price of these decks? Like, normally it's $40. These ones I've been seeing for 50 and 60, even 70. I wouldn't pay 70 or 60 for this unless I was like the most Doctor Who fan to ever Doctor Who. But for 50, I think they're a great deal. And like, I mean, technically, if you're going to resell the cards or something, even for 70, they're okay. But no, let's not pay markups. So I will say like $50, which I think is the recommended price, because there's no recommended price anymore. That will be ideal. That also means that if you want to buy this as a board game, it's only $200 to get the 4 decks, which is kind of an expensive board game, but at the same time, well, I've seen worse. And well, this is Magic, so you pay a premium. In my heart of hearts, I would prefer that it was like 40 as usual, but yeah, they have to pay the BBC for the rights, right? And well, they like money. So ideally, in my opinion, like $50 for each will be great. That means there's that $200 board game that you can, buy for a Doctor Who fan and play with 4 people. Now, in terms of power though, and like easiness of play with, I think is somewhere along these lines, right? So, well, depending, this is like this, right? I think it's something like this. This is the easiest to play with, and I think this is the most broken one to a degree, which is funny because the cheapest one. So there you go. And this is just interesting to play with, and these two are either okay or confusing, or okay or confusing, depending on what type of player you are. So that's why I leave them like this. Why? Because this deck, the deck of the 12th and 13th Doctors, is basically just summon stuff from everywhere except your hand. And you may be thinking, oh, that sounds confusing. But it's not really, because all the cards in the deck force you to do stuff like that, right? So you're always summoning stuff from anywhere but your deck. So it kind of triggers itself for free. Now, this one is also easy to understand because it says, well, how is it called? Historic artifacts or historic cards, right? And it's like, oh, historic. So if you're new to this or you don't know what historic is, the only hard time you're going to have is remembering that historics are artifacts, legendaries, and sagas, or just historic land, because it says historic land, right? So, but besides that, everything triggers, and you have food tokens and clue tokens, which is okay. I don't like them, but some of the cards work around that. So technically, at the same time, depending on how you want to see it, in terms of this is how easy they are to play, not so much power, because this is not the most powerful one. I think this is actually somewhere here, maybe, like, because it's not 100% worse, it's a kind of worse, right? So it's middle, half or something, because this is kind of subjective to a degree. And then you have these two ones, and these ones, I call them confusing because it depends on the person, right? For example, for me, this is the funniest one to play with. So this goes, in terms of fun for me, but fun is subjective. It's really the funniest one to play with, but it can be very confusing for people, and the same as this one. So when I say people, even Magic players can get confused by this, but I am also analyzing this from a perspective of, okay, so you never play Magic, you watch Doctor Who, so you're the opposite of me, right? I play Magic and I started watching Doctor Who. You watch Doctor Who, you want to start playing Magic. So you just buy the one that you like and you will figure your way out. Like normally, rule of thumb, most of the times, Magic players are not assholes, so, and even less in Commanders. So they, they're like pretty flexible, like, hey, you wanna, By the way, I just realized in the middle of this that the white thing here is the thing holding the die. So I didn't show you the die for the others, but well, you're not missing much because I think they're pretty much the same. So this is the one for the 10th Doctor, and this is the one for the 11th and 12th. So yeah, they're pretty much the same, but I just wanted to show it for so you don't think it doesn't come with it. I just was distracted. And in terms of the bad guys deck, it's not confusing. It's just that you have to do damage, and then if you do damage, you make people choose things, right? So it can be convoluted. And this one, you just have to keep track of your stuff at all times. It's very back and forth, but this is the one that gives me more the feeling of being in a like being, quote big quotes, Doctor Who, in the sense that it's like, oh, I go back and forth and try and time and take a token, remove a token, all that stuff, and that's very cool. Now, in terms of fun, for me, this is the funnest. But again, this is like complexity / power. In terms of things that you can do with these cards, I think that these three are a lot more flexible than this one, because you have other cards with suspend that you can add to this deck, or you can just add these cards to another deck that you have with stuff with suspend. Actually, you can now do things with suspend. This one has the paradox mechanic, right? So as long as you keep adding stuff from outside your deck, you can do cool stuff, and that includes Cascade from outside your hand, And this one is like everything that is historic, and Magic is full of historic stuff. Now, you can pair it with some Lord of the Ring cards, like the Samwise something, the one that interacts with food. I can't remember the name right now, but like all the cards that have food mechanics from Lord of the Rings happen to be green to a degree. So you can just add them to this deck, and it works. And this one is the one that is hardest to update, because this one works very well with itself. But that's the problem, is that it's very difficult to include things here. You can. I mean, as long as you want to use these commanders, everything that you need to include here is just things that do damage, or things that allow you to blow your things against the opponents so they die, so that the other commander, Missy, can do their thing, right? In terms of my personal preference and the way I will go about these decks is, this is the first one because, well, sorry. And I found this one fun to play with, and then something like this. So in terms, for me, this is my preference. Like, I love this one. This is fun. This is fun as well if you know how to play it. And this is not bad, but it kind of bored me in the sense that, because I don't like food tokens and I don't like clue tokens because they are kind of too expensive for what they do. And clue tokens maybe are more worth it. But yeah, it has some cards that sacrifices tokens, so that's good. But not everything sacrifices tokens, so it is what it is, right? So I will say this is my preferred order, my preferred recommendation. But for a normal person, I think that this is more like this, maybe. Or maybe like this, right? I think for a normal person, it's something like this, the order, right? So it is what it is. Let me know in the comments down below what do you think, what's your favorite doctor, I guess, and if you got any of these and what are you doing with them. I find that these decks are very interesting, and at least they try to do new stuff, and that's why me as a Magic player that is now getting into Doctor Who, I'm loving it, but I'm kind of triggered. I'm loving it because I see how they match the mechanics and the lore, and that's great because it matches so beautifully. But why can't they do this with non-universes beyond stuff? This is just triggering me. Like, you have all sorts of cool stuff. Like, this is kind of meh in terms of like doesn't look new stuff, but the whole deck is kind of oppressive and I like it, and it has the villainous choice mechanic. So this is very interesting on that regard, right? So just because that, because that my English left the room, just because of that, I like it, right? So this one has new things into the thing. This one is also kind of, well, we already saw this, but it's like, well, every time that you cast historic stuff, so it's about history, celebrating the history of Doctor Who, like every time that you do stuff that is historic, you get food and clues and boom, boom, boom. Plus, all the doctors can have companions, so you can actually do some crazy things if you decide to mix and match. Even within the same deck. Then this one is like the paradox mechanic is very fun, but then the tag team, like the beginning of the end step, each creature you control with a counter in it, you can untap it. So like it's a self-fulfilling thing. With another partner, it's just crazy. But even Kamala, I think is her name. It's very, very powerful with this doctor, right? So I think this is very straightforward and Jasmine Khan. It's very fun. And this one I was loving it. Like back and forth and take tokens, return tokens. So yeah, you can tell that this is my favorite, and I'm not biased because of the Doctor, because I literally just seen 2 episodes of the 10th Doctor. So it's not like I'm not that biased towards this guy, but the deck is super fun to play with, in my opinion. So I guess there's that. So thank you very much for watching. Don't pay markups. And say hi to the newest Doctor Who guy on the blog. Hope you liked the video. It was a long one, but you know how this is. It's like half podcast, half Magic the Gathering video. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.